Hey everybody, this is Isaiah Houston from Ground Game.
Hey guys, I'm Nestor Thomasopoulos.
This is one of my teammates, Nestor. And what did you just do this past weekend?
So I topped the regional at Hartford. I got second place. I really thought I was going to get first place, but can't win them all sometimes.
You've gotten first place before though, so you're no stranger to that. Uh,
Yes, yeah.
so I'm really excited. One of my teammates from Big Apple Gaming just got another top. I know he was a little short, but like even getting first or second place is one of the things that we're focused on like a perfect game because that means that you're playing pretty well to just go like what? How many wins did you get in a row?
In a row, it was five. I lost round six, fortunately, and then I won out the rest.
Still pretty clean. So let's go through the deck list.
I started off with like three diviner, pretty standard. The next card you'll see is Droll and Lockbird. That one was a little interesting. I was having such a frustrating time at locals against Flunderies, and a lot of people that I play test with, they play Flundery, and they explained to me that Flundery is one of the hardest decks to counter, and it's one of the best for the meta right now. I hate that deck, and that deck destroys Drytron. So I wanted to play Ash, and then ultimately decided to play Droll because it's more powerful against them. On top of it's very powerful against a lot of other decks in the meta right now, except for I guess Sword Soul. It's pretty weak against Sword Soul. So ultimately, I went with Droll because I wanted the more powerful card versus the like more utility, I guess, from the Ash.
Yes. So normally when I see Droll, it's a hand trap that a lot of players like tend to lean on in the beginning of the format as like a safe kind of like catch all. You know that it's a hand trap that's going to give you a lot of value. So how did it perform? Did you play any Flunderies or what?
I actually played zero Flunderies, but I played against, I believe, three Drytron mirrors, and it really came up in the Drytron mirror. It is
Wow.
such a killer against our deck, and as this deck gets more popularity, we're gonna see a lot more Droll. And I pray to God no Psycho Readers come back, please.
Okay, that's good. Three mirrors, that's crazy. So Droll definitely put in some work.
Yeah,
Did you get Drolled at all?
I did not get drolled. Oh, wait, that's an absolute lie. I got drolled a ton. Uh, not by the Drytron mirrors though, but I got drolled in the last round. I got drolled with 1 minute left to go on my Zeta, and it was going into time. And fortunately enough for me, I opened up the Natasha, so I was just able to like squeak out the win instead of a draw.
Okay, Natasha for the win.
Yeah, everyone
Okay.
was bugging out. And shout outs to that guy because that guy had a crazy deck. It was Tri Brigade, Crystal Beast, branded. It was a mash of everything, and it was crazy.
Okay. I see you played more names than some of the lists that topped Hartford. What was your decision in going like three of every name except for Delta?
When I was testing this, a lot of people were telling me to play the three Delta as well, just max out three on everything. I just want to bring that deck count down a little bit because I wanted to play Drolls. I wanted to play a little bit of extra cards besides just the droplets, just the tactics, which are staples. I wanted to have that Harpy's Feather Duster in just in case I get hit by mine. So unfortunately, I had to cut a little bit of consistency for that, but I really didn't have any issues as long as you open up. Even a lot of times, I would open up just one Drytron, but I would have access to like Ben 10, or I would have another way to do like what I call, or a lot of my friends in the test when we test call the reverse combo, where we make a Beatrice first and then we send the gamma to get to the Mu Beta. As long as you can play, you shouldn't have an issue, and that's why I wanted to have cards like Droll and Droplets, Tactics, and I didn't care about having that one extra name. But I wouldn't cut down on any more names because, like I said, there was a lot of duels where I only had one Drytron. So I fear if I cut down more, I won't have that Drytron, or I'll be in a position where I just literally can't play the game.
Got it. And then you chose you didn't go for any of like the magic key stuff. You chose to go to that card that like
Oh
skips
yeah,
the main thing. What's that?
Amorphage
What's the name of that
Pain.
card? Amorphage
Amorphage
Pain.
Pain
So
is the GOAT, man. I gotta say, it beats every single matchup in the meta right now. If they do not have droplets or they do not have Dark Ruler, it might as well be GG. Not only for the fact that it skips their main phase, and if Drytrons get a follow up turn, our follow up turn is so powerful. We generate so much advantage. It's it might as well be the GG. But the fact that it's a blanket skill drain for the XYZs, synchros, and fusion monsters, like you can't ask for more. The only issue I have with it, and I did screw up one game, is it also negates our XYZs as well. So you have to be careful. Like I summoned it a little too early in one game, and then I wasn't able to get my Mubeta extra summons. I luckily didn't matter because the card's so broken, and I won as anyway. But you do have to be careful. It can be a little bit of a double-edged sword sometimes, but it is very powerful. I think it's much better than the vanities with the counter trap because this is just one card as opposed to many cards you have to play that can really kill your consistency of your deck.
Got it. No, I'm definitely a fan of the more names, and as far as the pain, seems like an insane card. Like it doesn't seem too crazy just skipping the main phase too much because some decks they have the ability to still make a big board, but like you said, with the skill drain on top of that and only requiring like one extra card, and then having like multiple names in graveyard next turn is like so good. So definitely makes sense. Things that I noticed too with the so you played the 3 emergency, and
Hmm.
then how did you feel about the 1 field spell, the 3 emergency? There was no like flogging with any of those. Did you want to play more field spell? Like how did you feel about that?
I wish there was clogging with emergency because I felt like I just did not see that card at all during the whole tournament. Uh, but the field spell, I really love it. Just being able to search Nova or the ritual spell, which I was playing 2 at this event. Do I think I would continue to play 2? I guess I had to see. It depends on how the meta shapes up. I was expecting to see a lot more DD Crows. I didn't get DD Crowed once this whole event. I was really shocked by that. So
So right now you're playing
and
1. You would want to test 2, is what you're saying.
yeah, I think I would cut it back down to 1 and see how it would run because that would give me more space to play maybe another card. I think 42 is perfect for Drytron right now. Uh, I if I could cut it to 40, would I do it? Uh, it really depends. I don't know why. I just love the number 42. Every time I win an event or do very well at an event, it's with 42. Like I guess it's just a superstition for me. But yeah, it's definitely would say it could be played around with at to 1 again. But I did like it at 2. There was many times where I would just get a
Okay.
free card, free card to
Okay.
search.
You did choose to play Foolish Burial, right? How do you feel
Yeah.
about that? I know a lot of like in the Drytron community, I've heard people are like iffy on Foolish Burial. How did and it's obviously the 1-0, so you probably didn't really see it. But what's your like? Why did you decide to play that card at
So
all?
Foolish Burial, let me tell you how much I love and hate this card. So Foolish Burial, oh, at least 2 to 3 games. I'm like praying. All I need is one Drytron, one Ritual Monster, and like I can get this like a 2-0, And then I draw and it's Foolish Burial. I'm like, well, that's not gonna help me out in this situation. But on top of that, there was many games where I got drolled, and I was like, okay, Foolish Burial, I can send the like any of the ritual monsters to the graveyard. I can still play. I can make my I got drolled. I was able to make Beatrice because I was able to send the Idaten to the graveyard, and I hard opened up the Minionis, which was I guess a good thing of having 2 in the deck. The ritual spell, I was able to open it, which let me get to Beatrice, and then Beatrice let me get to my token collector, which just like won me a game.
I think Foolish is good. Like it's definitely like you said, not great to see like past turn 1, but turn 1 is definitely does things that maybe like Emergence can't.
Yeah,
So I'm glad
exactly.
like you still chose to play it. Um, I really want to hear about that 2 ritual spells. Like a lot of this stuff is like the drop is in talents is like standard, but that um the 2 ritual spell I haven't seen that. So why 2 ritual spell?
So the double ritual spell is I saw this the guy's top 16 list, and I saw he was playing 2 ritual spell, and I was thinking about it beforehand, but I wasn't 100% sure on it, and then he played it. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna see how it plays, and it really does like come up. So when I would have one ritual spell in hand and I have an alpha in hand, and let's say emergence or nova, instead of going for that zeta and being like, oh, okay, I need the Zeta for the ritual spell, I would be able to go into other options like a Delta or a Gamma, and then have essentially access to everything because now I don't need that Zeta because I would just have the ritual spell. That's another reason why I played the field spell as well because it gave you that versatility. Like, oh, if I opened up Nova field spell, well, now I can get to the ritual spell without
Okay.
having to search Zeta. I can get Alpha with my Nova, and I can do the reverse combo as long as I have one ritual monster level 6.
So you chose to play two, kind of like to have to skip the necessity of going into Zeta or like searching Zeta because you
Yeah,
lack in that ritual spell. I think that's pretty interesting. I never thought about it like that because I was kind of confused by that, especially when you mentioned you never got crowed. Because like that's the first like immediate thing that you think about. Oh, like what if it gets crowed or banished or something, right?
I had
But
somebody
wait,
chain Cosmic to it, and then I was just
mm,
like, oh, okay, well, I have the second one.
oh, that's crazy. And you play the one duster as like a mine out?
Yeah, it was a mine out, which the only time I got mined in the whole tournament, thank you God for that one, because that card is terrible,
Yeah,
was actually my first game of round one.
yeah,
I the guy mined me. I'm like, oh no, here we go again. Uh, we go passing back and forth. He was playing strikers, and maybe 3 turns in, he harpy feather dustered me, and then triple widow anchored stole my whole board and killed me. So that was unfortunate.
yikes. I guess that's the thing with playing like multiple, like one mine out. You play it, but it, like you have to see it too. So like it only comes into effect when you actually draw it, you know?
Hmm,
Because there's the
hmm.
option that they could like take control of the game or they could kill you, you know,
No,
because you
a
didn't
hundred
draw that one
percent.
out.
But now you put them in the position where they have to either kill you or you know you're gonna draw your out. And a lot of decks, like I don't know, like Flunderies, let's say. Is a deck that plays Mystic Mine. If they can't kill me or clear my board, they're just hoping on the deck out. So if I make my thought process is if I make a broken enough board, I guess it only backfires against strikers because they can Widow Anchor steal your monsters. But if I can make a big enough board where they cannot out or kill me through, I will get to my out. There's no doubt about that. Even if they're playing Outledge, because most Outledge players are not maining like most Outledge players are not maining Solemn Judgment, but they could be playing Forever, but it's very rare. I feel like that they're playing Forever, so it's almost impossible for them to stop the Harpy's Feather Duster game one. So if I get mine game one, I'm gonna drag that out every single time until I get to that Harpy's
Yeah.
Feather Duster.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I like that logic. All right, next question. Pot of Prosperity. It's not in the list. Why wasn't it like Nestor approved?
Pot of Prosperity is a very good card. I will not deny that, but I feel like Pot of Prosperity really loses its appeal when you cannot do 6 cards. And I feel like with this deck, I struggle to find 3 cards I want to banish. You know, every card has its place. Every card is necessary. And when we get to the extra deck, you're gonna see I don't have the Underworld Goddess in there. And God, I wish I did. I don't know what to take out. I was literally sitting there before the tournament. I'm like, I really want to play this Underworld Goddess. I have no idea what to take out because I feel everything is just necessary. I didn't want to play Prosperity because I didn't want to banish any of these cards. I feel like having the cards in my extra deck is worth more than digging 3 cards because every hand, in theory, should be playable. I know it doesn't always turn out that way, but I'm not going to play one. I'm not going to play a card to increase my consistency when it's going to take away from the utility of my extra deck when mathematically my deck should be performing every single time.
Got it. No, that makes sense. I don't think this deck needs Prosperity. Like, you know, if there's something where like maybe you have to fit in more non-engine, maybe that's an argument. and you have to go lower with the names and stuff, and you're trying to cut it down to 40 or something. But like, I don't see a lot of scenarios where they say like this is a must in this deck. You know?
Exactly. And, like a lot of times I hear the argument where it's really good game one going second because realistically I think its best application is trying to dig for that droplets, dig for the answer card to answer their board because they'll almost never negate the prosperity itself.
Yeah.
So that I kind of understand and I did miss that a little bit, but I'm I'm not trying to play for going second. I'm always going to play for going first, except for against
Got it.
Flunderies. So Joel and Lockbird.
Yeah, I guess the last person I have on the main deck is the triple tactics talents. Like, just how was your experience with that card?
I loved tactics the whole tournament. Don't get me wrong, there was some scenarios. I tactics drew like another tactics and a Drytron I already used, and I was like, wow, this was like useless. For the most part, tactics performed very, very well. The way I see it is I replaced the prosperities for the tactics. It's a more versatile card. So going second, it can still help me out my opponent's board, which prosperity is trying to do anyway, without the chance that it could whiff, because the tactics will almost always resolve, assuming they do not have a spell trap negate, and most decks don't have a hard spell trap negate besides Baron, and usually you're using an effect to make the Baron trigger, which is going to allow you to resolve your tactics.
No, I like talents. I mean, I have my own personal grievances with talents. I think that talents is a card that is really insane going second. That's it, unless you know for a fact that you're going to get hand trapped. Going first with talents, like you have to hope that they don't have a hand trap. And if you're maining it, like there's a lot of variance. There's people on 12 hand traps, there's people on no hand traps, there's people on 5 or 6. So like tactics isn't always live. But I'm glad you had a great experience with it. I think it's a card that people should like play in Drytrons.
Yeah, like when I played against the striker guy, I was thank God for tactics against him too because he had a very real potential to like just take. I could have lost round one if I did not have talents because I talents. He double hand trapped me. Ash, I believe it was Ash Valor. Used the tactics there because my hand was really broken, so I wanted to play into more hand traps. So I used the tactics there because I wanted to make sure he didn't have any Mystic Mines. And I looked at his hand and there was like a Metaverse. It was Metaverse Engage Widow Anchor. I was like, oh my god, I have to hit the Metaverse.
Yeah, talents is crazy. I think it's a crazy card. Did you ever use the steal effect, like to rip a card? I mean, like,
For the most part, I always used it to rip a card from the hand. Obviously, unless I was in a desperate situation, I needed to draw. There was one situation where I tactics stole against the Adignister player. This was round 7. So he tried to kill me. I had the Ash fortunately enough to stop him from making the access code talker for 2 attacks, with the update jammer.
mhm.
So he was forced into a more he was forced into a different play where his monsters were untargetable, and I had a Natasha in my graveyard. But luckily enough for me, I got him to use a hand trap, and then I could steal. I stole one of his monsters with the tactics, which then made his monsters targetable again, which let me steal his other monster with Natasha, which let me kill him.
I actually like the extra deck. I feel like it's pretty clean. Like the only thing that I think is cool to play, but that I don't even know what to cut for is like obviously the goddess and then the relinquished anima.
Yeah, it's so hard. The anima, I love anima. Don't get me wrong. And I was literally watching games when I was playing, and I was like, keeping mental notes, like, okay, this would be a good time if I had anima, but I don't. But unfortunately, you have to play Link Rebo in this list because you need that Link zone. So there's a lot of times where you don't want to uh or like a player will make the anima, like classic activate Nova first, make a Link 1 so you can activate your guy in the graveyard. But now you're cut off to what is it called? You're cut off to Link summoning unless you make your Phoenix. And you don't and even if you make your Phoenix, then you're still cut off until you make a Link 4. So with that Link Rebo, it gives you the ability to make the Mirage, the Herald of Mirage Lights underneath the Herald before you make your Link 4, or you can make the IP before you make the Link 4. And a lot of times that comes up because it's the more efficient way to create the end board if you have the full combo.
Yeah, I think the only way that can be effective is if you actually played both the Anima and the Link Rebo, because then you can
Hmm.
make the Herald an extra monster zone. I'm really glad to see you played the Herald because I thought when people weren't playing, I thought it was insane that they weren't. The card is a free negate, and then if you kill it, it just gives
Yeah,
you
all the
two,
recursion.
two, two cards back. Like that you played the Nist. That's like it's your normal summon Diviner. It gets a free pop, right? 1 second, especially against statue.
Yeah, it's so necessary. Well, honestly, I don't think it's that strong against Flunderies, only because like most lists now are playing 2 to 3 statues, and the moment you normal summon Diviner, they're gonna be like, okay, activate map. Their map's gonna resolve. They're gonna search for a either another statue or they're gonna search for the Avion, and then they're going to summon their Avion. Well, I guess they can't negate the Natis, they'll just get to another statue. I've every single time I play against it in locals, at least that's it's just unfortunate.
Multiple statues? That's actually pretty scary. Multiple
Yeah, they play
statues is
two
insane.
to three now in the list variants that I've been seeing. At least very very frustrating. But yes, Natis is very good. Let me beat the Adignister player. So I was playing in a situation where I won game one, so he's going first game two, and he makes a 6K towers and sets four. I'm like, whoa, set four and Adignisters, what just happened? I knew one of them was a bluff because I saw him search a spell card that was not the quick play one. So I draw for turn, and he goes activate anti spell as his first action. Luckily, I had Call by the Grave, so I quick play Call by the Grave, banish his negate in the graveyard, and then just normal summon Diviner, pop the anti spell, and then I just went Leerless Bird, make Zeus send all his spell cards to the graveyard. So now he's in top deck situation, and I had Ash in hand with Ben 10. I knew I can pretty much survive the turn, and that's what happened. And instead of keeping the 6K towers, he went for the axe code for 2 attacks. I had the Ash, so he couldn't actually complete the update jammer. So draw for turn. I drew the tactics, and then I went Alpha Tribute Ben. He used his hand trap. All right, okay, steal your monster with tactics. Natasha. Yeah, it definitely comes up. I would never cut Natis.
Yeah, Matisse is pretty like good, and it's crazy because a lot of people went down from three to minor. It's like one, especially when they were trying like the brand diffusion stuff. But I think abusing like Beatrice and abusing cards like Natist is gives you a lot of like value in
Hundred
this type
percent,
of
hundred.
deck. I guess I noticed no like extra deck. I saw like some Crystal Wing shenanigans. You didn't feel like that was any good or anything, right?
I played that very early on when like when I saw that you can just make the Tzolk'in and everything, and it's funny, but it's not really good. It still loses to everything like Droplets and Dark Ruler, and honestly, people can just play through it. It's just one monster negate. I'd rather have the utility that Beatrice gives me, being able to set up a zombie world against Plunders or Token Collector against Sword Soul. Because like even though I think Drytron has a good Sword Soul matchup because of the Amorphage Pain. Sword Soul is such a scary deck. It is
Yeah.
so scary. Like I can have Pain. Doesn't matter if they have Vishuda. If they Vishuda bounce it, I'm just like okay.
The shoot is pretty crazy of a card, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Also, like Beatrice is so necessary because those hands where you open up one Gytron, if you don't know how to do the reverse combo and you can't get to that Beatrice and sending that Gamma so you can actually play the game, you're just gonna have a very bad time.
Unless you have like anything else to go through with the extra deck, I think a lot of it's standard. I mean, you did play the level one Lyricalist. I know people that fell out of favor a little bit.
So I think the Lyrilisk is, I don't want to say a staple. It's just so good. And I don't know if people know about Dinomorphias or anything or what they do, but Dinomorphia is actually a very scary deck if they pop off. One of the only outs to the Dinomorphia board is the Lyrilisk Nightingale. Because they'll use all their negates, they'll stop you. They think you have nothing, and then you just make Nightingale and you attack directly and they just lose. Because all their cards
Mm,
require them to pay half their life points. So they usually end up at like around 5 to 600 life points and you just kill them.
yeah, that deck is crazy, honestly. Like, I think the deck does kind of lose to its own self. And I think
Mhm.
that's true. Like, if you don't have droplets, a lot of times it can be tough to deal with that deck because a lot of people aren't on imperms. A lot of people aren't always on chalices. So droplets makes the matchup a little easier to handle. But having a card that can just swing directly, that they can't really like negate, is pretty strong.
Exactly.
You didn't play any Dynamorphia, did you?
No, not at this event.
How was the side for you?
So I was playing lava golems. I had two lava golems before I changed my list right before the event. I was playing two rulers and I believe uh yeah, I was playing two rulers. I didn't have Ash in my side because at that time I was maining the Ash and I was trying to figure out how to fit the Drolls and everything. And I ultimately just said, you know what? Lava Golem is a great card, but I'm just gonna max out on the Dark Ruler because Dark Ruler hurts like the matchups that I lose to the most, which is like Flundery, and it still hits all those matchups that the Lava Golem would hit, and I still don't lose my normal summon. And that Diviner normal summon can be so powerful sometimes.
So you
So
didn't miss the lava golem at all?
no, never. I I
Um,
I enjoyed it when I played it, like because I went to a locals on Saturday before the event, and I was every time I had Lava Golem, I was like very happy. But I never missed it in the regional, and I don't think I'm gonna miss it going forward. I don't think there's just room for it. You know, I feel like everything in the side deck's pretty much a necessity, including the ashes. Just having a generic card that you can put in against any matchup and against branded too. Like,
yeah, you didn't have any ash in the main. How did you feel about like the Despia matchup, game one? I know you had like dropless talents to kind of pull through the board. Uh, Droll was there. Did you play any Despia? Like,
so against Despia, the only thing that's hard against them is if they have if they have branded in red and a way to make a chimera before they brand it in red. So I'm always going to drop the Amorphage Pain, which essentially tells them you need to react to this card or you're going to lose. So they're going to have to use their Mare Jade to then activate its effect, and then they're forced to brand it in red there. So now they're going to either summon. A lot of times they don't even summon Chimera because it's the only card on my field. Sometimes I have to do the Mubeta first, and then I do have the Mubeta on the field, so they will summon the Chimera because they'll get the draw too. But if Amorphage Pain is the only monster on my field, they have to Mare Jade and they have to use their Brandon in red because they have to get the Mare Jade off the field so it resolves. And then they banish the Amorphage Pain, and then I just Natasha them for everything they're worth.
they'll just drop the pain.
Exactly. Quite literally, yes. It is so good. And then if I don't kill them, they're going straight into battle phase. They're not going to have their main phase.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, when that card is summoned, it's going to resolve. They almost never have a way to negate it.
Okay, so your Despia matchup isn't too crazy. Isn't too crazy.
Yeah.
I
I
think
I
going into this
I
format,
want
you
to play
need to have
against
that.
them.
You want to play against them. Yeah, you got to have those favorable matchups against Swordsfall or Despia. Like, just be comfortable and competent to beat those. Did you play any Swordsfall? Like, how many did you play?
So I played against two Sword Soul and I lost one, won one. The guy who beat me was very, very good duelist. He's the guy who got third on the list. And it was very unfortunate. I think I could have won game one. I might have made one misstep, but I was playing through multiple hand traps. So it was not easy. It was not like there was a lot of thought
Yeah.
involved there. But yeah, sometimes you just can't win them. If you get ashed or drolled, unfortunately, sometimes there's just nothing you can do. Like I almost played around the Nibiru. I didn't see it all the way, and I got nibbed for my life after getting ashed. So sometimes you just can't do it.
Yeah, it's always so impressive when they have like a board and then they have like an Ash on top or like a Droll or a Nib, you know?
Yeah.
But it sounds like you did the best you could. It's kind of hard to like going second kind of forces you to play into Nib really hard in order to combat what they're trying to do. But I like this list. It's just for final questions and thoughts, like there's nothing you would play this card for card if there was like a regional or YCS tomorrow.
I don't think so. I think I would test out some more different things. So I want to put in this Underworld Goddess. It's gonna go in. So it's just a matter of what I'm gonna take out for it. And I think I might want to try something else. So like I do love Nightingale and I do like Downerd with Zeus. But if I'm not playing Nightingale, then I want to take out Downerd because almost always I'm going into double Mu Beta into my combo. But I don't want to take out Zeus, right? So I want to add in one more XYZ. So I was actually thinking about playing a third Mubeta because I'm always using two in my combo and then I'm skipping their main phase and the turn's always coming back to me. So if I can make a Mubeta on my follow-up turn, that is just so powerful.
Well, Beta and Draco Nids is crazy.
So I was thinking about doing that and then adding in the Underworld Goddess, and that way I don't have to cut Zeus either. I have another XYZ for it, and then also
Yeah.
the utility that the third Mubeta gives you is just very powerful as well. So I think that's what I'm going to do to change the deck up a little bit and see how it runs. But if I miss that Nightingale, I might have to go back.
Yeah. And you didn't miss any like Cerberus or like an Boral Sword or like, some good cards too. Like Drytron just has so much utility to play all
Yeah,
these
right.
cards.
I see a lot of people cutting access code for Boral Sword, and that just blows my mind. Like I get it. Like it Boral Sword plus Natasha is like so powerful, but realistically, if you can get to that point in the game where you're Boral sorting and like Natasha sealing all their monsters, you can get to access code. And access code gives you so much more like utility than Boral Sword because you can deal with back row too. You can deal with a lot of other things. On For example, I was playing against a scythe deck, and I had IP with Mirage, and pretty much my opponent got to a situation where I saw their board was like really really weak, but they couldn't deal with anything, so they just set up a scythe lock, and they essentially passed. So instead of like just being like, okay, I'll draw, I use my IP, and I made Access Code Talker on their turn, so it cannot be destroyed by card effects either because it was made with IP, and they still pass their turn. Now main phase, I have first priority access code effect to pop the Hulk. They can't do anything. They can't respond to it. All right, no scythe, and then I just kill them.
Wait, so the first thing you did was drop the pain?
Yeah.
I
So
missed
for
out.
turn one, I made my pain. I did IP with Mirage because it wasn't like the most it was, I think I only had like two Drytrons. So
Mhm.
it wasn't Alpha Zeta. So uh I was only able to get to IP Mirage with the pain, which is still very good. Like I was thinking about making the Apo, but I didn't see the need to make the Apo because I saw that play with the Access Code Talker. And then I did the Access Code Talker on their turn with the IP. That way, main phase one, I get priority to activate my effects, and they can't respond to access code because that's access code. And then I just pop, and they can't they can't scythe me.
That's crazy. No, I like that Drytrons are coming back into the meta. It's like a scary deck. Going first, going second. You have a lot of utility, so I'm just glad to see you finding success with it. Um, and just last question: no pre-preps of rights, right? You just didn't want a card that played hard into draw. Like, what was up with that?
So I was playing prep Saturday, and I got into a grind situation where I needed to uh I was like, oh, all I need is like well, like, essentially one card to play the game. You know, it's always, I feel like that comes up more often than not. All you need is just one Drytron or one ritual to just play the game. And I top decked prep, and I literally was about to do like a backflip thinking I won the game. I then realized I have no targets in my deck. It was just dead.
Hmm.
So I don't want to play cards that can really ever be dead, and I'm already making that exception with Foolish Burial. But because well, Foolish Burial is 10 times more powerful in my opinion than Prep, so I think it's justified in this situation. But I don't see it being justified in Prep. Like the deck plays very very well. You have two Ben 10 now. Like the deck's fine. I don't think it needs the Prep, and it definitely helps cut down on the total size of the deck as well.
Got it. No, I definitely agree with you. And congrats again on the second place. There's more regionals coming this season, so there's a Nats coming up. So looking forward to some more success for you, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't wait. I'm gonna be at quite a few events coming up, so hopefully you see my name on the top lists more often.
Definitely, man. Um, all right, Isaiah Houston out. Stand your ground, everybody.
Stand your ground.